This is day 503 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If I can sponsor our coming share of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi or more, please contact me directly. Be greatly appreciated. Today we're starting Siman Shin Tes Vav. And we're supposed to do Shin Tes Vav Aleph through Zayin. Tini oil kavua v'ol arai v'tosefes oil. The halachas of a permanent tent, a temporary tent, and adding on to a tent. Aleph, kamosha binyan have a malacha, just like construction is not malacha. Working as yes oil, habits of the binyan, making a tent is a derivative of construction. Kamosh kasav a Rambam perek yud din gimel. Rambam writes also kavua, somebody makes a permanent tent. Already said to his bonnet, a derivative of bonnet v'chayiv and reliable chulei. Somebody who destroys a permanent tent, it's a derivative of deconstruction, and you're liable as long as he's doing it in order to fix in the long run. Already explained. The rice obligation is only by a permanent tent. Rabbanan asur all right, but Rabbanan asur even a temporary tent. Rambam writes as follows: also kavua, somebody makes a permanent tent. Chaim mishubana is liable because of bonnet. And therefore we preferentially do not make even a temporary tent. And we don't deconstruct a temporary tent. Because maybe you will construct or deconstruct a permanent tent as a result. All right, but if you constructed or deconstructed a temporary tent, you were exempt. So you did the Rabbanan. That's Rav Osir. Mutzah Siva all right b'Shabbos. So allowed to add to a temporary tent on Shabbos. Ketzad. I'm sorry. Ketzad b'Chuli. I can't show it. And quote from the Rambam. Zel klali yostin oil. This is the general laws of oil in a nutshell. Don't ask, or you may not ask, since making a tent is a derivative of bonnet. And the liabilities are equivalent. Skilo when it's delivered and chatos when it's not delivered. So that's the case by bonnet. Why you chayav, no matter how small, we said, the hole in the chicken coop. By a tent, however, only chayav if you make a permanent tent. I say, all right should at least be the status of a hole in a lushal tiny golem. Should be considered to be enough to make you chayav. Hamnam ain't a shayla. Arukh HaShulchan says no, it's not a question. The binyan, I feel koshu miwa binyan. Even a small construction is called construction. The miskai is mamru because it's going to last for a long time. Mashenkin oil, but a tent, in essence, shena kavua, if it's not permanent, it's only temporary. It's not shem oil. It really doesn't have the status of an oil in terms of the Melech Shabbos. Even though we already said that it's construction for a temporary for a short amount of time. His construction but it has to be something which is suitable to last a long time. Even though then you're chayav, even though you made it for a short time. As opposed to a temporary tent, and all this kind of cloud, it's not suitable of being sustained over time at all. Base. Because of the Surah writes also right. Now let's make it a temporary tent. B'Shabbos Yontiv U'Peirush Rashi Shen Isra Sias Oil El Begag V'Lo Mechitzos. The prohibition of oil applies only to the roof and not to the walls. Rabbeinu Tam Piresh, the Tam explains in Mechitza Nami, he explains and he argues with Rashi, he's saying in the wall too, he must also have the sukkah. If he made it for some specific purpose for which it serves, like as a wall of a sukkah, or het to tilto, or he made it for an eruv, osir, it's forbidden. I mean, it's only do it for modesty, like to curtain off a part of a room. Mutzah, that's a mutzah. I can't show. Now you can't ask also the following question, since it's a derivative bonnet. Wasn't she an oil and a binyan? The binyan pshita havigam mechitzas chonyan. Is in the walls too, not just in the ceiling, right? But like the hole inside the chicken coop. So Yesh Lomar the shame Omar Shamalas Adam. No, because the very name Oel indicates something which is me'ahel, which means it tents over a person. Again, ain't a rak bagag, so therefore it only applies to the roof. The mechitzas and mahalim adam. The walls don't tent over a person. Similar davar tumas oil shemeis kayadua, and the evidence of that is tumas meis. It doesn't go by. It's not contained by walls, but it is contained by a ceiling overhead. Can we do so? She das Rashi. That's Rashi. By the time so they got mechitzas holds it even by the walls. Sheish to el says that over mitzvah when it's useful for some mitzvah purpose, we made that become helis al adam, so then it comes out like it's a tent on a person. How so? Klomar shamo eles ol zeh lidvar inyan. This tent is effective for a certain matter. The el shagag have a tosh maganis al adam. In this respect, it's similar to the roof of a tent which protects a person. Against Adam here too protects a person in a broader sense, obviously. It's an English who got me outside for something which is necessary from on sideways. But there is no advantage except for privacy. But that's not considered to be an advantage which we accomplish, a benefit which we accomplish from it. That's not considered an oel, shame oel. Allah v'ayim sifyud ches that doesn't have a shame oil. Gimel. For over poskim miskim rabbeinu tam that if it's a mechitza materes, if it allows something, so then halachically, so then that's considered to be bona oil even min outside. Chen das a Rambam v'Ravid peridam b'sukkah adin tezayin ein sham. Chen Rav saying about the Shulchan Aruch levi b'sif avrak de'azu. The Shulchan Aruch only brings down the rabbeinu tam's opinion. V'yirali it seems to be the zeshin mutzah mechitza k'shil tznius ba'alma. That which is permitted with a mechitza, you're allowed to set up a wall if it's just for the purpose of tznius. It's also only if it's temporary. Then even stands strong and it doesn't wobble. I feel it feels even if it's standing permanently. But it doesn't. It wobbles. It can't stand without wobbling. These are considered so these are when it's even if it's doesn't wobble, if it's temporary, or if it's permanent but does wobble, those are all mitzvahs, and they're considered the eluchlem tosefes all right as the same status as adding on to a temporary tent. It's mutter, not just potter. The kfiyus, so it's there permanently, blini anua, and it doesn't wobble. Having tosefes all keva, then it's adding again has the lumdus of adding on to a permanent tent, the also and that's forbidden. Albeit not a chiyuv. Dal, mevur b'mordechai perakira, the mutar asos mechitza men and nashim b'shas adrosha, ayin sham. The famous Mordechai allowed to make a mechitza and showers between men and women at the time of the drosha. This is even if the wall is standing without wobbling. They should rock the shulchan, it's only temporary. For Rabbeinu Amakasa, v'lechem mutar etlos v'il ibnei pesach, afal b'shagav. Tom said that for that reason allowed to hang up a curtain over a door, even though you're going to leave it there. Klomar meaning, says the curtain is always shaking, wobbling. It doesn't impede the people to walk through. But if it's going to stand like a wall without wobbling, also that's forbidden. That's adding on to a permanent tent. Leave the Aron Kodesh. You also put parochas up in front of the Aron and in the shul. Even though it's there permanently. Since it wobbles, it shakes, so therefore you can put up Shabbos and mitzvah put up because of Kavod HaTorah. You can say, well, since it's Kavod HaTorah, that's a mitzvah, so it's like the walls for Sukkot Erev, which are a mitzvah, and therefore it should be Aser. Never it's more permissible. In front of the paroches, I guess there was one of the aronas where the paroches was inside, behind the wooden doors, whatever. But I assume it's the same. The door is the other way around. So every time it's to be a wall at all. As long as you don't make with the curtain somehow a covering of a tefach. You can also make a wall because of the sun or because of the cold, or because of the wind. It shouldn't blow on you. Pia pratim is based on the nuances which we have explained. And also in front of candles that the wind should not put them out, etc. Sharatzian says that you only put up the curtain the Sharatzian is going on a case where it's going to stand as a wall and it's not going to shake. So he says it's only if it's going to stand there for a long time. If it's closed. It's always constantly being open and closed. It's not considered to be a permanent blockage, especially if there's a threshold to the opening. I guess and that it's considered to negate the curtain somehow. The Mishabura and several Acharim are also makel. Even there are no doors for the Kodesh, just like the curtain by the doorway, which we were just talking about, which wobbles, it's okay because it wobbles as well. Hey, because of Ben Ramo, I've also says mechitza minei or a nair. Now let's make a mechitza in front of the light of a candle. In order to be able to have marital relations in the room. Also from books, or to have marital relations there, or to attend to your needs there. Unless you did it before Shabbos began. Unless there was already an oil of a tefach. That's minimum size of an oil, a tefach, before Shabbos began. Then you're allowed to add on to it on Shabbos. And a quote from the Ramad or Shulchan picks up. Since this wall allows you to have relations or to defecate, it's like the walls of a sukkah and an eruv. V'afagad b'yontev omer hashas mefurish bebeitza to mutasos mechitza. Hi, and yontev you're allowed to make a wall. Zeu mignesh yontev vuchim melachas ochel nefesh. That's because yontev melachas ochel nefesh are permitted. V'arei gam b'chabos aner yesh safek sham im lo hutar b'yontev. Now it's true that and it's even to extinguish the candle itself. There is a safek. Perhaps it's mutzar and yontif. V'avnas kan also even though you're not allowed to extinguish the candle itself. Nevertheless, and yontif didn't forbid a light wall. Mashim Shabbos opposed to Shabbos. U'chasos asforim b'shnei kisuyim sheet in the mutar b'Shabbos. I guess I'm not sure. I guess to add a cover to the cover which is there was mutzar and Shabbos. Chenim dai mechitza b'chusa me'asor tefachim chasos and asforim. Also, it's allowed to put. You can put a wall less than 10 fucking high, which doesn't count as a wall, to cover the candle of the svarim. Gankim, which is permissible. That's the thing. It's just a covering, not a wall. Because less than 10 is not considered to be a mechitza. Also, if the wall juts out from the side, the span of a tefach, you can. I think it means on top, I'm sure. Or maybe it means sideways as well. Yeah, sideways. You can put it sideways. If there's the walls there, tefach, you can add on for whatever you want for tashmish, etc. The zelkato sebas. All right, that's like adding on to a temporary tent. If sharing is permissible. Mishmur brings down. Magen Avraham says that the mechitza covers the candle altogether, that can't be seen. So then this is not because of a wall, but because it's covered. So therefore, he wants to say even the wall is 10 tefachim high. You're also allowed to make it, because again, it's not a din in having walls; it's in having a covering. And he added that even though some achronim who are unsure about this, nevertheless, shas adchak, you can lie in this opinion, which is a rarity. Again, as you always say, for Mishabur to be more mekel or Arukh HaShulchan, but here he says that shas adchak, you can rely on the fact that it's not really a wall; it's a covering. and that's okay to make on Shabbos. Vav Kamish is Barsha Tosefes all right mutar. Since we explained that adding on to a temporary tent is permissible. The Tosefes mikra kshesh all rochav tefach mikvar, and Tosefes is called the add on is called when there's a tefach already. You're adding on to the tefach. Mutar sifa leah. At that point, you're allowed to add to it. So therefore, in small boats, midarkam lamid chashukim, they used to put up small boards which are called rifin. They matzim dakim, which are a thin piece of wood, and ichpafim, which bend over, and become like a half circle. And you put one side in one side of the boat, and you go up and down to the other side of the boat. One left side. They do this for several pieces of wood. And they put on top of these supports a canvas that should be mat, that should be a shade. But if one of the pieces of wood is tefach wide, or feel ein roch of tefach, or in itself is not tefach wide, elisha omnim somuch al kol etz chaver kapachas mishlosh tvarim. There's love in between them, between two pieces of wood. The shem kelavot when they're shoving achas. It's like one. So if you have a roch of tefach, even though there's airspace between two sticks which are less than tefach each. And therefore, Shabbos, you put a mat on them on Shabbos. To have a Tosefes, all right. So adding on to a temporary tent. One of them is not a tefach wide. More than 3 tefachim distant from each other. Also, you're not allowed to put a mat over them on Shabbos. The siyas oil arai usher, to make an oil arai from scratch, that's forbidden. Also with the child's crib. Put up some sort of supports in the crib to put a netting over it, like a sheet. That's also the same halacha. Also, if they never take off the mat which is spread on top, but they wind it up in a circle until it's completely wound up. When they need shade, they unwind it like a regular awning, which you wind up and wind down, and they unwind it. The round spool doesn't count. You have to leave a tefach besides the spool. So mutar b'Shabbos, the porcelain on Shabbos, you can stretch it out. Tosefes, it's added. V'lava usher. If not, it's forbidden. And just in case you missed that point, he says, the spool does not count in the tefach. The eagle eno oil kamuvan. The spool is not considered to be an oil. Bishbur says, some Achronim write that to spread this mat, which was wrapped around a rod or whatever, it's awesome. So he says that the people who ask what the Arukh HaShulchan is matir. Okay. Yeah. Zayin. Clothes oil. The general principle of an oil is the kol she'ein tzorich chal tachtav. If you don't need the space underneath it, lo mikra oil. It's not called an oil. The shem oil ha'mahi or masha tachtav. Oil is whatever covers over what's beneath it. L'chein mutar yitain sefer echad mikan v'sefer echad mikan v'sefer echad gabein. That's like you put one book on one side, another book on the other side, and another book on top of them. Av sheish chal tefach, even though the books are thick. And there's a gap of a tefach in between, because there's no usage in it. The shulchan shel arba raglayim, so to a table 4 legs. Af shein daf al gabav, which doesn't have a board on top of it. Mutzim Shabbos daf al gabav. Put the board on top of Shabbos. It's a call. It's not like oh, shein tzor klash tachto, because you don't need what's underneath it. Zesh is bar shebimita yesh dino. That was going to say that a bed does have a status oil. Because you use the airspace underneath it. Litin sham tak samita min only with sandals to put your shoes and sandals. My table is another answer. The kaimlon, ba right. We hope all right. There ain't obel mechitzas. There's no wall. There's no such thing as the OL without walls. The Mishabur says that they didn't answer it unless you also made temporary walls underneath the roof on Shabbos. But if they're already there, the temporary walls, you'll have to put beams on them. Not sure why. I guess you already have probably verticals. Vertical means you can add on then planks. And the same thing is if you carry the legs of a table. Let's go at a table. They only ask for putting up a table. You can't only ask putting up a table if it already there are sides to the table. And more of that, if the sides are already there, you don't bring the sides on Shabbos, you're allowed to put the board on top of them. And if the same thing, if you're carrying the table legs from place to place, in order to put a plank on top of them, that's considered so when you put them up for that purpose, as if you already started the OL from before Shabbos. Okay, these are big chidushim. I mean, not so big, but it's a table. In other words, for putting together a table, even though there is no tefach there for before Shabbos, it's as if there's a tefach because this is what our normal derech. What do you do on Shabbos? You fold and unfold tables. Besides, Arukh HaShulchan said that it's not made to cover something underneath. Okay, and that's what Arukh HaShulchan continues. The mama heel came a there's no oil, there's no walls. The mat on top is also without walls. That's because it's significant. It's actually intended to cover. It's primarily put up there for shade. As opposed to a table, which is a temporary tent. It's not a wall. It's not a tent without walls. There's those who say, and that is the Taz name of the Ran. They're both the same thing. For the purpose of making something oil, they have to use the space underneath it. And when there are no walls, it's indicative that they're not using the space underneath. The walls have to get down to the ground in order to be a proper OL. But he says, the Mishabura says, they don't have to go all the way down the ground, they have to be lower to the ground. So they're 3 feet off the ground, it's still considered being an OL. The Tarch Armachitzos, you need 4 walls. The Halacha says 3 is enough. I can't go Shem Machitzos Zu Kenega Zu, Ushtamshi Tachtov, Have OL. Okay, and it's weird because you come to yourself immediately. He says, you need either 4 walls or 2 walls opposite each other. That also is considered to be an OL. The Mishnah Berurah says that in a bed where you use the bottom to put shoes, etc., it's also even if it only has 2 boards on 2 sides of the bed, as long as they reach down to the ground. But a table, even if it has some significant walls, and it's only us that there are 4 walls each on one side, like a box. Because if not, then there's no indication, and we still may not use it for the inside. Okay, and he's going to say that actually. I'll show him say it as well. Without any walls, which is not considered to be usage. Only by the mat overhead, which you say is a significant usage. That's all, even without walls. When the 4 walls, even to the table, it's certainly suitable with some use. So every table has 4 walls which reach the ground. Also, you take a top of Shabbos, now allowed to put the board on top of it on Shabbos. Unless there was a partial, the border was partially covering the top, the sun is partially covering up to the extent of a tefach. Says in brackets, that's a Rashba. You can tell it in tzarech l'shimush tachta bilvad. Because the Rashba only matters if it's made to use underneath or not, and the walls are not a point of reference, which means chumrah. Even without 4 walls, as long as there is an intention to use underneath, it'll be also put up that table on Shabbos. The halacha says that the chatchila you should be machmir like the Rashba unless it's a shas adchak.